Hey ladies and gents, we're back to some Avorion, and we are talking assembly blocks, cloning, and academy blocks. Why am I running all together? Because these are just, like I said, more of a production type block and crew training blocks, so they're kind of all tied together. Now there's a couple different theories on this, where you should put these kind of blocks and use these kind of blocks. Well, we are looking at the three different running theories. This, you guys seen this multiple times. This ship has production blocks or production capacity, and it also has cloning capacity, and it has academy capacity. These are very small blocks because this is a warship. I'm not going to put a whole bunch of production blocks, cloning capacity, and academy capacity on this ship. These are just more of emergency things. But they use a lot of energy. So instead of using them for your generator or for your say your shields and all that kind of stuff, this is, in my opinion, not the best place to put these kind of blocks. However, they do work pretty well on the other two options. We're going to use this we're going to do this on a station, and we're going to go into the build mode, and we're going to talk about, first of all, the assembly block. We're going to get assembly blocks early in iron. What this block does is increase production of just about everything, whether it's factories, like if you're producing, say, a antimatter generator or a fusion generator, where it takes 20 seconds normally. You put production blocks on there, you can drop it from producing every 20 seconds down to, like, say, 10 seconds. If you're using it for resource depot, where it's taking you 8 minutes to convert material from the raw to the finished product, you're going to do it in half the time or less, depending on how many production blocks you put on your ship. I'm going to use Avorion here because it's my highest level production assembly. This gives you 3 production lines. What I mean by 3 production lines, we're going to look at the fighters here. It means I can only produce, for example, 3 fighters that I've moved over here and I've turned them into blueprints. I can only produce 3 production lines. If I put a 4th one in here, it won't produce because there's not, like I said, it only does 3 production lines at a time. Same way with factories. If you have more than 3 production lines, it won't produce any more than just those 3. So that's something to remember when you're using assembly blocks. This of course goes up. Iron starts out at 1 assembly, then it goes to 1 to titanium is 2, 1 assembly, or still 1 assembly, and I think neonite and tritium gets 2, xanium gets 3, ogonite gets 4, Avorion gets 5. So you can do up to 5 with Avorion. Obviously, it goes up by material. What we're going to do here is we're going to use an assembly block, and we're going to stick it here, and you'll notice the numbers go up 1351 per second, and production line is 1. Now, we don't have to get multiple production lines. We can't just make we can make a super huge block, but we're still only going to get the 1 production line. That 1 production line is going to be producing at 9,777.8 per second, but you still only get 1 production line. You have to do it in multiple blocks. We're going to put it a little bit smaller. There's 1. We do a separate block. There's 2 production lines, and now we get our full 3 production lines. However, the capacity is still 4,200 per second per production line. They don't stack on top of each other, so you're not getting 4,200 in 1 production line. You're getting whatever the block was. That makes sense to you? So if I, obviously this one right here was 1,400 per second. So that 1 production line only gets 1,400. The next production line is going to get 1,400. The next one after that is going to get 1,400. Makes sense? Yeah. Of course, I can make these blocks bigger and make more production per second per production line. That's how you do it. Works great on factories, works on mines, works on everything that you want to produce in any fashion. So yeah, that's the production capacity / production lines. Now to get more productions, you're going to have to go to the next material. Let's talk about academy blocks. Well, let's talk about cloning first. Cloning, unfortunately, you still do not get until you get to the xanium. You won't get it in tritium, you won't get it in neonite. We're going to slap a cloning pod on here, and we're going to go to our ship menu, and then we have to go to the crew side. Well, see, let's look at it before with no pod, and you'll see up here it says notice I forget it's always paused. It doesn't update until after you come back. Here we go. This is showing no capacity, right? Simultaneously cloning capacity says 0. What we're going to do, of course, is add the pod to the side here. What that does, it lets us now, you can see here we've jumped up to, we're doing 5 of 5. We can add a few more here. Now what it does is just clones crew members, untrained crew members. I had to take these pods off to make the video, so that's hence why the right over here shows all the stuff that it does. All we're doing is training crew members, which are untrained. They're not mechanics, they're not engineers, they're not gunners, all that kind of stuff. It just produces straight up crew members that you can either distribute and that kind of stuff. However, if we want trained crew members, specifically 4 different ones, probably because they're hard to find, and when you do find them, you might not find a lot of them. And those are boarders, commanders, generals, and captains. These 3 at the bottom here, you're going to find more captains you used to, but commanders and generals are kind of hard to find. And same way with boarders. You can find like 30 to 40 on a station, but you might have to jump multiple locations to find them. So if you're big into the raiding and you're big into taking stations, this is the way to go. Alright, so we're going to drop some academy blocks on here. Once again, we can get that in the trinium level. We're going to drop that academy block on there. Once we drop the academy block on there, it's going to give us the ability to start producing. For example, here I'm producing boarders. We don't have, let's hire some crew members to do this. Yeah, so now we got 34 crew members. So we take the 34 crew members, and now we can start adding them here. So we're going to add another set of boarders. We're going to need how about a commander, how about a general, and we'll do another captain. This lets you produce your own stuff on your own stations and on your own ships. Great way to do it if you're, like I said, going to get into the whole raiding and taking stations, because this is where you're going to get boarders. And of course, if you're building new ships, you can set yourself up right away. Now, there's a couple different lines of thought about where you should put this. We did this with, I showed you the Durandal, just using small blocks on an actual combat ship, and now we did it on a station here. The weird thing about the station is, since it doesn't move around, I can add enormous blocks of production, and same way with the cloning capacity and the academy capacity, I can do it almost unlimited. I mean, just as long as I have the right amount of material and money to do it. However, the other possibility is this guy, which is a mothership / depot ship. We're talking, this has the academy capacity, cloning capacity, and of course production with 2 production lines to produce railgun fighters. Yeah, so it's starting to make railgun fighters at 1 every 9 minutes roughly. I can produce them faster on the station because of course I can make quite a bit larger production line. Production blocks, cloning capacity, academy blocks all require huge amounts of energy. To give you kind of an idea what it takes, so the ship is 1.76 million hull and 1.66 million HP. It's going to cost me almost 3 million material and almost 45 million credits. That warship that we were looking at earlier, the Durandal, is 50 million credits and 3 million trinium, or 3.3 million trinium. This has 3.5 million hull and 13 million shields. This is the problem with the mothership type going with this. This is not really a great combat ship. This is going to be in the support fleet. So it's going to be kind of a toss-up. Kind of what you want to do. Do you want to do the mothership type thing? Or if you want to go with the really low production capacity, low crew, and low cloning, you can do it on a warship. My personal opinion, you either go with the last two, either go with the mothership style, or simply use your stations. Stations, whether you're putting this on a mine or whatever, is the way to go. So with that said, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully this clears up some of the confusion about production and cloning and academy.